5555 Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies, Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Taylor Dahl may still be on vacation, Mia, but there will be three sports-loving ladies in the studio today.
That there will be. Mayor Donna Deegan will join us at 12:35 here on a Wednesday edition of Helmets and Heels. Excited to not only talk about her sports fandom, her life as a sports fan here in the city of Jacksonville, but of course get some updates for you guys as far as the stadium of the future, what downtown will look like here in the next 2 years. I've commented to multiple people in the building this morning here at 1010XL, Lauren. I think the biggest questions from so many are not, hey, what will the stadium of the future look like? These next 2 years, what will downtown traffic look like? Where will we be able to park for the Jumbo Shrimp game? Will there be roads that have to be closed? I think there's a lot of questions that I'm really excited to ask the mayor about.
And also, is it Gainesville? Is it Orlando? How close are they to making those kinds of decisions? Everybody wants to know that. My gut tells me it will be Orlando, just based off of how the stadiums look and how the locker rooms will be, as far as the Orlando Stadium Camping World will undergo renovations before all this happens, and Gainesville, Ben Hill Griffin will not. And so my guess is that the NFL will prefer to play in a stadium that's a little bit more renovated, but certainly we shall see at that point in time. All right, Mia, you and I have completely disagreed on a couple different things when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. One, you were definitely on Team Mason Graham, and certainly I can understand why, because a lot of people were.
There's an asterisk on that. Continue.
Oh, go ahead.
The asterisk is the morning of the draft, and I reported that. I said it on the air. I got a text that was a little disheartening and a little concerning from a non-Jaguars source in another building for another team that was picking in the top 10 that had a last-second meeting with Mason Graham, and he arrived looking out of shape and disheveled and not in the blue-collar way that was depicted at the NFL Combine as, this is your meat and potatoes, get after it in the trenches type of guy. And
we've now already seen him throwing up at practice, so maybe that wasn't a good indicator of what was to come.
Correct. You can go back. I have receipts. Yes, very much said that on Thursday morning of the draft weekend. And yeah, we'll see what happens, because certainly there's been players before that we've questioned during the rookie onboarding process, we'll call it, and then things turn out okay. But yes, continue.
So that was one. I was obviously Team Ashton Genty at that point in time. Nobody really knew until probably that afternoon, that Thursday afternoon, that the Jaguars were going to be as bold as they were and go up to get Travis Hunter. Another one, and I wouldn't say we've necessarily disagreed, but the fun of sports talk radio is having these debates, right? And when it comes to the left tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, as soon as James Gladstone was hired, I wondered out loud on our show, what do they think of Walker Little? Like, I have no idea. I have no intel. That's the question I posed. What do they think of Walker Little? And we can go round and around as to the moves that they made in free agency, and then obviously drafting two guys in this year's draft, what that indicates about what they thought of the offensive line. And I think what they've told us at this point by their actions is they did not like the offensive line from a year ago, and they wanted to revamp it. And so yesterday, Mark Long joined XL Primetime as they were live at the ACC spring meetings up there in Amelia Island. And here's what Mark had to say, obviously, who covers the Jaguars for the AP, on that Jaguars offensive line.
Has been number one on their to-do list is protect Trevor Lawrence. I know you can say all you want about surrounding him with more talent, and Travis Hunter fix the defense. That helps him a little bit. But to me, it's all about those five guys in front of him. What have they done to fix that offensive line? Because the offensive line was a problem. And you jettison two guys, and I'm looking at this, my 30,000 foot view says they could have two more jettisoned before the season opener. Yeah. Because you just don't, I don't know that I don't think they're happy at left tackle. They're certainly not happy at left guard. And this guy looks like a plug and play replacement for Ezra Cleveland. And they're not happy at right tackle. Now, what can you do to motivate Anton Harrison and Walker Little? You bring in competition. That's what's going to motivate them. Exactly. How about this? Right. How about start camp OTAs? How about start OTAs with them as the second team, with Walker Little and Anton Harrison running with the twos? Because I've heard that is the plan, to start those two guys with the second team just to light a fire under their butt, to show them, hey, this is not your position. This is wide open. We're going to put Fred Johnson. We're going to put Adoga in there. They're going to be Fred Johnson's going to be my starting left tackle. Adoga's going to be my starting right tackle. And those two guys are sitting there as twos and got to work through it. It has been said.
That's very college-ish, by the way.
It has been said. That's fine. It's not. This isn't Urban Meyer college.
I'm all with that.
This isn't Urban Meyer college.
I am all with that.
There is a belief in the building that Walker Little, your starting left tackle, has never won the job. Never won a starting job at the NFL level.
Yes, a couple things to that. A lot to unpack. Thank you again to the boys of Primetime for doing such an excellent job. Round of applause, RJ. They absolutely killed it up there at the ACC meetings in Amelia. Not only conversations with multiple ACC coaches, yes, that's right, as well as Andy Staples, Mark Long, two of the preeminent reporters here in the state of Florida. A lot to unpack. Let's start with this notion of having your starters in the second team. Well, before we even get to that, Lauren, I would just like to get on the record that we all received at rookie minicamp on Saturday. We all were given a pamphlet of the media reporting guidelines, and we are technically not supposed to be reporting on who is lined up at first, second, third team at this current juncture. So I just want to throw that out there, that when you all start texting into the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, you start tweeting at me, and you say, where is this person lined up? Is Mark Long's report correct? I technically cannot, in a public space, confirm or deny that. So let's first and foremost get that out there on the record, just like the Mason Graham comment. That's number one. Number two, this idea of you have your entrenched, quote unquote, starters and you light a fire under them. Totally here for it. Just like Matt Hayes said, everyone's got to fight for their job. I'll tell you this, in speaking with multiple players, in speaking with multiple camps of players, they invite that competition. They want that to be the environment that defines being a Jacksonville Jaguar. I have heard it from multiple players and multiple camps, including some of the names that you heard Mark reference there. So let's also get that out there on the record.
Also, when Mark said he could be a plug-and-play guy at left guard, he was talking about Wyatt Milam.
Correct.
That part just wasn't in that clip.
We also discussed on the Duval Rundown podcast last week when we did our way too early 53-man roster projection. I said, Ezra Cleveland, going to be trade bait potentially if Wyatt Milam comes on strong in August, or potential trade bait at the deadline. I have him at the deadline potentially being shopped. We'll see exactly how quickly Milam can adapt to the National Football League. I have also sat at this very seat, Lauren, and I have said for weeks, and it's kind of flown under the radar, and people have been so fixated on Walker Little. He who must not be named, dare he step on Trevor Lawrence's ankle. We can't stand that Stanford kid. I have said for weeks, there's some concern in that building about, does Anton want it? Does Anton Harrison have that competitive fire, that competitive spirit, that maniacal energy to show up each and every day before anyone else walks in the building, to fight for his spot, to go above and beyond each and every day, to be an NFL offensive tackle where you take it to another level? Those conversations have been in the building as well. And I've referenced them here on air, and now you hear Mark referencing them as well. So before we pile on the left tackle conversation, let's not dismiss the rest of the conversation that Mark very eloquently laid out there, that there have been plenty of Easter eggs also dropped.
I think this regime looks at, it's not just the offensive line, it's every position group, but especially this offensive line, and they're saying, you have to earn the starting job. Not a single one of you along the offensive line is guaranteed a starting job. And in years past, I think there were certainly offensive linemen who were 100% the starter. Look at last year with Mitch Morse. Like, as soon as he was signed in free agency, he was 100% the center starter. Luke Fortner was going to be the backup. Now they want every single one of those linemen to compete and to earn it. And that's not to say Walker Little won't start week one. It's just for people who laughed at the idea of Fred Johnson coming in and potentially starting, that conversation is real. Fred Johnson might also be the starter week one. It depends on who wins the battle. And I think the offensive line is something in training camp that is going to be fascinating to see. Whether or not we can report who's taking first team reps, who's with the second team, third team, it's more we're going to get to see with our eyes how those guys are doing against the defensive linemen, and especially obviously in position drills as well. I would love for the fact that Walker Little wins the starting job.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because the past regime signed him, and I don't know that this regime would have necessarily done that.
Past regime also drafted him.
Sure.
And then they re-signed Cam Robinson.
Right.
Confounded a lot of people.
Right. And obviously drafted Anton Harrison. And so, yeah, they are putting messages out to whether it's media members or to the team, obviously, as well, and saying, like, no one walks in this building except probably Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. But nobody else walks in and you are guaranteed your starting position.
Yes. And
I think that's good.
I think it's good, too. And again, I can tell you that I have talked, not just along the line, up and down that roster. This is what they want. This sense of urgency is what was missing, particularly in the final year of Doug Peterson, where it felt like there was wallpaper drying and everyone was just hanging out. I know it's paint drying, but I'm going to say wallpaper for the sake of the argument. Because
I hate wallpaper.
We were waiting around for the wallpaper to slowly come off the wall, and so that's just what the energy was.
The lack of urgency was also there when they were 8-3 and then melted down the stretch. That's also, you can blame the losses on injuries, but that's not all it was. It's also a lack of urgency.
Yes. And that's where ultimately it's this. If this is the way, look, just like the move to go up the board to get Travis Hunter, if this new regime wants to be bold, these are tangible steps to being bold within your own building. We don't have to tell you. Mark doesn't have to air that laundry. We don't have to report who's taking first, second, third team reps. The guys that are going to have to perform on Sunday know what the temperature is. And that should then reflect a better product when you get to the regular season.
The only position on that offensive line that I think is the most secure would probably be the right guard in Patrick McCarry, because I don't know if Cooper Hodges is healthy enough to be able to push him at this point in time.
Well, and they paid him.
Right.
It's kind of like why we've been telling you guys for weeks, like all nine draft picks, unless something catastrophic happens or it just becomes very obvious that one of the 9 doesn't have what it takes to make it in the National Football League, they're making their opening day roster because they are the only players outside of those signed in pro free agency that have a seal of approval from this regime, not from the previous regime, but they have that seal of approval from this regime. Additionally, and
yeah, I totally agree, by the way. All 9 are making it.
Right.
I don't know if any undrafted free agents will. We'll certainly see. We have to see more of them. But all 9 draft picks, like you said, unless there's some sort of injury or something like that, they'll all be on this roster.
Additionally, we did our 53-man roster exercise last week on Duval Rundown, available at the 1010XL Jaguars channel and 1010XL Podcast Network. And I said, look, I wouldn't be surprised either. Fred Johnson's only on a 1-year contract, Lauren. It's like $1.5 million or something like that. You're not saving that much by cutting, releasing, keeping him. It's not counting that much against the cap. He could just be here for the same reason he was signed in Philadelphia. Obviously, he goes to Sutherland University. That's the offensive line coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, the car wash, if you may, the equivalent of Kyle Shanahan quarterback rehab out in San Francisco, and is able to push. And then because of the depth and the attrition at the position due to injuries, he was able to step in and start a couple games for the Eagles last year. I wouldn't be surprised if Wyatt Milam does prove that he can be a guard and a tackle. If Cole Van Lannon has and usurps the offseason program and the training camp that he did a season ago, and Chuma Edoga can also play guard or tackle, and you really like Jonah Monheim, and Cooper Hodges is somehow healthy and ready to go, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut bait with him too, by the way, for all this smoke out there of Fred Johnson. Look at how much money has been invested in players. That tells you how regimes feel about them.
I would be very surprised if Fred Johnson's not on the 53-man roster when the season starts. All right, Wyatt Milam, we've talked a lot about him. He certainly doubled down on his comments when it comes to nobody will be touching Trevor Lawrence.
No, I feel like it. I mean it. When I say something, I mean it. Just going back, not to talk too much about college, but I felt like that's something I took pride in. I've always taken pride in, and especially if you're playing O-line, you don't want no one touching a quarterback. And I felt like that's the mindset here, especially. And that's one of the reasons why I love playing here already. Is just the mindset that we have on this offensive line. We don't want no one touching Trevor. So.
Yeah, no, not surprised that those were the comments, and I appreciated Wyatt for being so open and transparent, just as far as, hey, like, you know, I stay by my comments. This is not something that I said in the heat of the moment on draft night.
Right. I think Wyatt Milam is a guy that they love where they got him, tells you that in the 3rd round. I think he's a guy that is expected to start. I think he's expected to beat out Ezra Cleveland, and like you mentioned earlier, maybe Ezra would then be on the trade block at that point in time. But they love everything about Wyatt Milam. I think that's fairly obvious to this point in time. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what this offensive line looks like through training camp and what they eventually decide as far as the starters going up against maybe the Panthers here in Jacksonville week 1. But you know what? The schedule release comes out tonight at 8 o'clock. Y'all can find the rumors online. We're just here to talk about the actual games. I want to point, or about the actual players. I want to point out, Mia, a point about Jalen Hurts when we get back. It's very interesting when it comes to play callers, and I want to relate it to Trevor Lawrence. And also, we have to pick some golfers today.
We do have to pick some golfers.
We're just going to assume Taylor's taking Victor Hovland, right?
Yeah, we are, especially because he's in the top 10 best odds. We're going to pick some horses, too, in the 1 o'clock hour.
That's
We're going to talk a little Preakness as well with our one of. It's actually, I'm not even going to say who the person is because it's like the weirdest combination of 6 degrees of separation. What if I told you, folks, that RJ Saunders has a friend from Christmas past from his high school days who is now one of the most renowned horse racing experts in the United States of America. What a world that we live in. Also, again, Mayor Donna Deegan going to join us, and a little birdie informed me maybe that interview might be a little bit sooner than 12:35. So don't change that dial. It's Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The race is on.
They're side by side.
It's NASCAR's All-Star Race at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Sunday night. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. From the station with the most horsepower. 1010XL.
The joys of home ownership. Until the plumbing backs up, the AC goes out, or your septic system decides to act up. The good news? You don't have to call 3 different companies when things go wrong. Just call my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. They're your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning all under one roof. So whether it's a leak, a clog, or your system just won't cool, they've got you covered too. Don't take my word for it. Check out their 5-star reviews on Google. From the moment you call to the moment the tech solves your issue, you will get first-class service every step of the way. Give them a ring at 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. One call does it all.
Joint replacement surgery is always a tough decision, but relief from chronic pain may be just around the corner. Dr. George Barry here, and there's a lot to consider to make sure you get the proper diagnosis and best path back to the range of motion and mobility you had. Age, lifestyle, and overall health all play a part. Let the team at Barry Orthopedics give you a full analysis to help you make the best decision. Log on to BarryOrthopedics.com or call the office to make an appointment. With offices across Jacksonville and ready to help you feel good again, we'll get you back on the road to recovery at Barry Orthopedics.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass. He told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
As a Florida homeowner, you're no stranger to mosquito problems. And although it's tempting to use DIY methods to get rid of them, mosquitoes are relentless. That's why it's important to enlist the help of the mosquito experts at Florida Pest Control. At Florida Pest Control, we offer specialized treatment solutions that are effective against mosquito infestations and are committed to keeping our customers protected year-round. For your free quote, give us a call or visit flapest.com today. Florida Pest Control, your local mosquito control experts.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Anderson's superior craftsmanship and timeless design. Right now, buy 2 windows or patio doors and get the third at 60% off. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires May 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Take brings home the Wanamaker Trophy.
The defending champion says,
Hear updates and coverage of the PGA Championship, driven by St. John's Middle School Athletic Association and TopDressing.com. Follow the leaders on 1010XL.
When it comes to your utility bill, JEA wants to help you use less so you can save more. We offer a variety of free programs, like efficiency and irrigation assessments that'll teach you ways to conserve energy and water around your home. Our alerts will let you know when your utility usage has reached a set amount, and our rebates can help you save when upgrading to more efficient appliances and equipment. Find even more ways to save at JEA.com.
Jacksonville, you know a good defense wins games, and a good fence protects your home. Frank Frangie here. Coil Fencing has been around the block since 1927. Literally, they've probably fenced it too. From tough chain length to sleek aluminum fences your HOA will love, Coil is the name to trust. Nearly a century strong and still standing tall. Call Coil today. You can trust them. Call 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
Keep your ball out of the rough with the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Get great golf tips from the experts every Saturday morning at 10. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour on 1010XL.
Are you struggling with hair loss? At IHRS, we understand because we've been there too. We're dedicated to finding the best solution tailored just for you.
My hair looks great. It was thinning, and IHRS restored my hair.
It's now fuller, it's thicker, voluminous. It's made me feel great.
With the latest technology and FDA-approved laser therapy, PRP, and non-surgical hair addition, we offer guaranteed solutions for men and women.
With over 35 years of experience, IHRS found a hair restoration for us, and we can find one for you.
For me.
For me.
And me too.
Visit hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. Get a free microscopic analysis and get to the root of your problem. This $395 analysis is yours for free. Call 904-777-4477 now.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Taylor Dahl has the week off. She'll be back with us next week. All right, Mia, one thing people constantly say in defense of Trevor Lawrence is, well, look, he's already now on his third head coach and third offense, right? Well, here's the good news. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles just won a Super Bowl. Let me go over the play callers he's had since college in 2016 at Alabama. Now, granted, these are some really good play callers, but every year, basically, his play caller has changed since 2016. So it starts with Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian, now both head coaches in college football. Then it goes to Brian Daboll and Mike Locksley, one a head coach in the NFL, one a head coach in college. Then Mike Locksley and Josh Gaddis. Josh Gaddis is now the Maryland offensive coordinator, so he went with Mike Locksley to Maryland. In 2019, Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma, or what Jalen Hurts was at Oklahoma then. Lincoln Riley, obviously now the head coach at USC. The next year, Doug Peterson. Do you want to argue that maybe it was Press Taylor and not Doug Peterson? Either way. Then you have, in 2021, Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen, both now head coaches in the NFL. Shane Steichen again in 2022. Then Brian Johnson in 2023. Brian Johnson, who is a really good play caller. He's now the offensive pass game coordinator for the Commanders. Oh, by the way, they have a really good offense. In 2024, Kellen Moore, who, of course, now is the Saints head coach. And then this year, Kevin Patullo, who's been with the Eagles since 2021 as a pass game coordinator. He was promoted to OC. Yes, all of those are really good play callers. But the point is, your play call, the offense and your play caller can change year in and year out, and you can still be a successful quarterback both in college and the NFL.
Yes. And yet here we are, and here we sit.
But again, if you have a really good play caller, that's what we expect to be Liam Cohen.
Let me flip that on its head because I know the answer, but I just want to illustrate the point. How many head coaches did Jalen Hurts have at each of his stops? Because obviously he had two head coaches in college because he went to two different universities.
He would have 2 so far in the NFL.
Okay.
So fewer than Trevor.
Okay. And in more time, because he's been in the league 1 year longer than Trevor. So he has had 2 head coaches in 5 years, as opposed to 3 head coaches plus an interim in 4 years.
Sure. Yeah. And the point is not to say Trevor has not dealt with any adversity when it comes to that stuff. He certainly has. The point more, though, is just because the offense is changing once again, that doesn't mean that it's going to take Trevor an entire year to figure it out, and then we shouldn't have expectations until next year. This offense, I think he's going to have to mold it to himself, sure. But this offense is expected to hit the ground running game 1.
The reason I bring up the head coach is to say that, once again, as much as we want to look at the offensive specific side of the ball, if you're the quarterback, if you're the leader of a team, of an operation, the face of it, you're involved in the entire operation, Absolutely. All 3 phases. And if there is instability throughout the organization, and if the head coach, who the organization is supposed to be a reflection of, is constantly changing and or getting bored with the job, then that will directly affect your play even more than who is scheming up X's and O's.
Absolutely. The Eagles are known as an organization that drafts incredibly well, and they've had really good stability, especially the past few years once Doug Peterson was fired. Look, Nick Sirianni to some was on the hot seat. I don't think within the Eagles organization in Philadelphia he was ever on the hot seat. But yes, now we are expecting that the organization here in Jacksonville is going to have stability for the next, hopefully, 10 years. Like, it would be wonderful if it's James Gladstone and Liam Cohen and Tony Baselli for the next at least 10 years, all in those positions.
Great point from 382 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Let's introduce another quarterback into the conversation.
Sure.
Sam Darnold. Is Sam Darnold a better quarterback than Trevor by virtue of, well, he overcame having to face so many different offense coordinators and finally hitting it right with Kevin O'Connell as his primary play caller?
I don't think anyone in the NFL would take Sam Darnold over Trevor Lawrence.
I agree with that.
So I would say no, Sam Darnold's not a better quarterback than Trevor. But what he was able to do this past season, certainly in a new environment, was very impressive.
I would say to 382, I would emphasize that third to last word that Lauren said. In a new environment. The environment, once again, the ecosystem, which is not dictated by the head coach unless they're the offensive play caller, and then they overlap both the offense coordinator and head coaching job. It is the job of the head coach to create the best environment for your quarterback to succeed, not your offensive coordinator. The tone has to be set from the top. And unfortunately, when it comes to the top, with 1 year's exception, in the 4 years that Trevor Lawrence has been here, there has been instability, or at the very least, there has been friction between the multiple entities that reside at the top.
And that's where I think Tony Baselli plays such a huge role, Mia, because I think he's able to take care of any distractions that would normally come up for a general manager or a head coach. And he's able to keep them completely focused on getting the best out of this offense, getting the best out of this defense, certainly special teams as well. But he's going to be able to handle anything that they would normally have to take care of. You know, whether it's, let's just say, a nutritionist for the team goes on maternity leave. But Tony Baselli now can deal with that situation. And I'm not saying this has happened. I'm just throwing one out there as a hypothetical situation. And Tony Baselli can figure out who's going to be the interim nutritionist, not the general GM. Manager or the head coach.
Right. Or looking around like who's in charge of this.
Right.
Which has been largely the case for the last 10 plus years because responsibilities were not necessarily outlined as you are in charge of these departments. 722 is that environment in Minnesota named Justin Jefferson. Not going to lie, 722, that one made me chuckle. 669, Trevor's coach.
We have Justin Jefferson here.
We do. We have Justin Jefferson at home. Times two. It's fine. 669, Trevor's coaches all got fired. All of Jalen Hurts' coaches got promoted, except his head coach. Because, well, yes, Jalen Hurts did play his rookie season under Doug Peterson. He was coming in packages. And then in the second half, when Carson Wentz decided to go kabust and just lose his mind, that is when he was playing. And it was, what, Lauren? An unstable environment between the friction between Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman. This has been detailed time and time again. Howie Roseman, for all of his faults, I will give him this. He and Jeffrey Lurie know who is in charge of what lane and what department at all times in Philadelphia.
Who's the security guard that got in a little bit of trouble?
Big Dom. Exactly.
They don't have his job detail outlined exactly perfectly. All right, let's quickly get into the PGA Championship before we do welcome in Mayor Donna Deegan on the other side. We have one of the greatest groupings, Mia, that I think has ever been on the PGA Tour. Tomorrow morning at 8:22 a.m., the likes of Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, and Scottie Scheffler are all in the same group on the golf course at Quail Hollow together. That is just tantalizing when you're talking about watching golf tomorrow morning. Very excited about that. So we are giving Taylor Victor Hovland as her golfer.
Victor Hovland right now, our friends at Hard Rock have him currently as plus 4,000 to win the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow.
All right, none of us can take Scottie Scheffler because he doesn't
have the best odds.
He doesn't, but I'm just still going to take him off the board. We still can't take Scottie for the
Can we take Rory McIlroy?
You can take Rory McIlroy.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right. That's interesting.
You can take anybody but Scottie Scheffler. Who you got? And what are their odds?
Man. Smitter really had me thinking when he was like all in on Sepp Straka, who's plus 5,000, by the way. Victor Hovland has moved up ahead of him in the best odds to win. Give me JT. Plus 1,600. He shows up for the PGA Championship, and he appears to have found something between his performance up in Hilton Head and then the last few weeks as well between Texas and then this past weekend in Philadelphia.
All right. The Alabama golfer goes Mia. I will take Xander Schauffele, who has 4 straight top 20s coming into this weekend. He is certainly back to himself after getting over that injury. And then also at Quail Hollow in 2023 and 2024, he was the runner-up.
Some other odds, in case you do want to get involved in the action over with our friends at Hard Rock Bet. Rory McIlroy, the best odds to win the PGA Championship this weekend, plus 325. Scottie Scheffler, the second best odds, plus 425. Bryson DeChambeau, plus 700. Then JT. I am still fascinated by Jon Rahm, the next best odds, along with Xander Schauffele at plus 1,750, Lauren. Knowing he has not been healthy, knowing he has done literally nothing since going to Live, the fact that he is even among the top odds getters, it's solely because of the long putt, like the drive, isn't it? Like it's the long game. That has to be the reason.
So where are Bryson's odds?
Bryson is third.
Okay, yeah.
Plus 700.
I would have expected Bryson to have better odds than Jon Rahm. But yeah, the fact that he's even up there does surprise me. I don't recommend taking him in your pools there, everybody, for fantasy golf. All right, let's get into our conversation with Mayor Donna Deegan. That is next. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL on 92.5 FM.
Wonder what Rick Ballou would be doing if he wasn't on 1010XL?
So you had a fight with a game show host on national TV. I don't consider that entertainment.
Rick Ballou.
This is not hockey.
Weeknights on 1010XL. This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 14th, 1913, Washington Senators pitcher Walter Johnson had his MLB record of 56 scoreless innings snapped, giving up a run to the St. Louis Browns.
Mia here, I've got a question for you. Have you ever wondered why buy from Arlington Toyota? I'll tell you why. How about over 800 vehicles in one location? That, my friends, is unheard of, and that means that Arlington has what you want. Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Tacomas, Tundras, even the all-electric B74X. Have you seen that thing? So good. It's all waiting for you at Arlington. Or how about this reason why? 60-day exchange. You can buy it, take it home, drive it around for 60 days, and then if you decide it's not quite right, bring it on back and exchange it. That is total confidence. You even get Arlington's lifetime warranty with your new Toyota purchase. Why buy from Arlington? Because right now you could get financing as low as 0% on select new models. 0%. It doesn't get any lower than 0, and you could get it today at Arlington Toyota. That's why you should buy from Arlington. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter-mile east of 295, or arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/0 for full details.
Now, the Florida Gator Report on 1010XL, brought to you by San Jose Collision.
A statement was made by the Gators baseball team this weekend, stealing the series from the top-ranked team in college baseball, the Texas Longhorns, with an 8-2 win on Friday and a 4-1 victory on Sunday to take the series. For the Gators women's lacrosse team, they're back to the quarterfinals this year as they took down Stanford 13-12 in double overtime on Sunday afternoon.
Your yard starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Jason, I don't see how a new air conditioner is going to work out for me.
Well, you like air conditioning, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. But a new air conditioner could be expensive.
Well, not if you...
I mean, to save up the money, I probably have to give up my extra hot skim latte every morning. Now I fall asleep during a staff meeting, get volunteered for the summer picnic committee, and end up sitting in the dunk tank all afternoon getting water up my nose.
Okay, look at it this way. Put on these sunglasses.
Whoa.
Bueller Air and Plumbing puts in a new AC. We hook you up with affordable financing, and you stay cool and comfortable for just $149 a month. Cool?
Cool. I see it now.
Life can be hard on your budget. If you suffer through the heat because of a broken AC you could totally afford to replace, you could visit.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com, powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
This is Corona Premier. Just 90 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. It's a light beer that... Wait, this is a light beer? But we should really tell people about... Right, that's why I'm here. Sorry. Corona Premier, unexpectedly, light beer.
Corona Premier, a light beer with just 90 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. The premier side of life. For those that are active and on the go, pick some up the next time you're heading out to enjoy the day under the sun. Corona Premier, an unexpectedly light beer.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is RJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
At Hurricane Grill and Wings, the wings are fresh, the drinks are cold, and the game is always on. With 30 bold flavors, ice-cold beer, and handcrafted cocktails, there's no better place to kick back and catch every play. Escape the ordinary. Your home for sports is Hurricane Grill and Wings.
Rebound Rehabilitation. 11 great locations across the First Coast, and they're just a click away when it comes to feeling strong and healthy again. If you need the best path to recovery, look no further than Rebound Rehab. Log on and check out one of their great 11 locations.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
A pleasure to welcome to 1010XL World Headquarters, the one and only Mayor Donna Deegan. Donna, thank you so much for not only hopping on Helmets and Heels, maiden voyage, but also in studio. We always love having in studio guests.
This is so fun. I love this, and I love your show. I think it's it's great to have women talking sports.
Absolutely.
People don't always think about us when they think of sports, and they should.
Lauren said to begin the program, while Taylor Dahl may be on vacation, we still have 3 sports-loving ladies
That's right.
in the building here on HQ, and we're excited to have you join us here
Absolutely.
on a Wednesday edition. Let's start with this, Donna. For those who may be unfamiliar, your sports fandom. Who are the teams you root for when you're a young kid? How does your sports fandom evolve over the years?
Well, FSU obviously is my love for college football. I graduated from FSU at the height of the, shouldn't say in the height of the Bowden years, but certainly while Bobby Bowden was still there and making quite an impact, and fell in love with college football. But obviously, I grew up in Jacksonville, so went to the Sharks games, or not, what were they called then? The Bulls. Went to the Bulls games. And I remember all the turmoil, all the years. I was here for Colts fever. I was here when we packed the stadium. I was here for the Oilers, tease that we had for a while. So, I mean, my family always has just been enormous. My father went to Florida. I went to Florida State. So
Smart
always
man.
a huge rivalry. And my kids split too. I have one kid that went to FSU and one that went to Florida. So you know which one's the favorite already.
The son went to FSU.
No, I love them both. I love them both equally.
Of course. And by the way, it was just Mother's Day. So happy belated Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Let's talk about when the city of Jacksonville got the Jaguars.
Yeah.
For people who are born and raised here, they understand we were such an underdog city to be able to get an NFL franchise. For people who I think have recently moved here, they've just always known them as the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they wouldn't have really understood how much work went into it. Like you said, Jacksonville was talking about getting a franchise, a football team for a long time.
Yeah. And we got a lot of teases on that front. And if you remember, we almost fumbled the ball right before we actually got the franchise, because there was this big standoff between the city council and Touchdown Jacksonville over the cost of the stadium. It was a little deja vu as we were doing the stadium stuff. And now it's funny because now that I'm in this office, I could just imagine what those conversations were like. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they were about to throw away this, this opportunity. And look, and the arguments were understandable, right? That there was really no cap on what they were going to pay for the stadium, and they were worried about and again the public was split, but obviously at the end of the day it worked out for us. And as somebody who has been I always say Jacksonville has an insecurity complex, right? Nobody believes in us here as much as other people that come in seem to believe in us. And so, I think all of us were utterly stunned when it actually worked out. And I always say that I think at that moment is when Jacksonville realized it was a can-do city.
And I think that this is what people don't realize about you, Donna. Like you said, you were there for Colt fever.
Yeah.
You recognize, and to your point, because this is something I dealt with, and obviously I'm a transplant.
You weren't born
here.
then, I don't think.
I was not born. I was not born for
I just graduated from high school.
Yes. I was not here for that. I got here in 2018, and I remember vividly sitting on my couch in March of 2020 and thinking my job is about to be obsolete because of the COVID-19 pandemic. There will be no sports.
Yeah.
And my dad called me. And he said to me, I don't think you realize how lucky you are. You are in one of 30 cities in America that sports, one way or another, are going to go on because you have the National Football League.
Yeah.
And look, the National Football League back in 1995 is not what it is here today in 2025.
Sure.
But certainly it echoes that similar sentiment of you have an amazing opportunity by having an NFL franchise in your city and elevating the profile of your city.
Absolutely. It is something that I'm not sure there is another thing that has happened in this city that has been more transformative than getting the NFL. And I remember so vividly, I was anchoring the news back then. And I was sitting on the anchor desk, and we were all just on pins and needles. We were starting to sort of hear little inklings here and there of things, and then we're watching the monitors, and we see Dan standing there, and Duron Cherry walks out, and Dan screams at him, Duron, do we got the team, Duron? And he gives the big thumbs up. And I mean, I'm getting, just chills thinking about it. And we all just, exploded in happiness. I still have that yellow newspaper someplace that says we did it, But in terms of our identity as a city, I talk about this all the time when I have my town hall meetings, and people are like, how can we spend this money on a stadium when we can't? I don't think people understand necessarily unless they actually, are at the games or see some of the things that happen because of the game, some of the business we get, some of the perks that we get, some of the things that it moves us forward as a city. I don't think they understand necessarily the entire impact that the NFL has, and it has such an enormous impact. But as a mayor, what I love the most about it is that it brings people together from all walks of life. Nobody talks about politics, thank goodness. Nobody cares about anything beyond the fact that they're all in love with their team. Or they're mad at the same time, which is always just so fun to watch. It's just a fun thing to watch. People get mad and then they get happy and all together.
The roller coaster. It's part of the fun. It's part of the fun.
That's right.
The Jaguars unify the city because when I was growing up, before the Jaguars were here, it was Florida State, Georgia, right? Like some Miami, but you belonged to one of those factions.
Right.
And
That's
so if
your
you're
tribe.
not together, then you would have those divisive conversations. But with the Jaguars, not everyone, because there are people, like I said, that weren't born here, that have moved here recently. But for the most part, everyone's a Jaguars fan. Even people who have moved from other places, I think eventually the Jaguars kind of creep into their number one as far as NFL teams.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because they realize what it does for the city, to your point.
My kids grew up with that.
Right.
I mean, my son is probably a bigger Jaguars fan. Now, he got a little frustrated last year, but he is probably a bigger Jaguars fan than any, and he's huge fan of a million things, which you probably already know. But he also a big FSU fan. But Jags number one, big time. Big time.
All right, so let's bring in the FSU and Jaguars conversation because a certain guy that was recently drafted almost went to FSU, but at least now he's a Jaguar.
Yeah, I was so excited that Mark Lamping called me up on the day that they were bringing him in and said we're bringing Travis in. You want to come over? And I went, what do you think? So I was so excited to come over and meet him. But I said, when I got to stand up and talk to him, I said, listen, you were in the doghouse before today because you were supposed to go to FSU, and that's my team. And he goes, have I redeemed myself now? And I said, yes. And yes, you have. You are officially out of the doghouse. But it's funny because I was standing and Tony was right next to him. Mm-hmm. And so I turned to Tony and the next words that came out of my mouth were offensive line, offensive line, offensive line.
There we go. Okay, so there we go. We led the show with offensive line. We weren't lying when we said we have three sports-loving ladies here at 1010XL World Headquarters, and Taylor Dahl's on vacation. Donna Deegan, the mayor of Jacksonville, joining us, filling in for Taylor Dahl. As a Jaguars fan, for you see Travis Hunter, and obviously you're looking at it as he's going to elevate our play on the field as much as he's going to elevate the profile of the city. But there's still some other holes that have to be addressed.
Well, of course, for him to be successful, for Trevor to be successful. I mean, I cannot tell you how many men over the years have mansplained to me why we don't need to draft for the offensive line. You clearly don't understand football. We can take care of those needs, in free agency. Really? Well, how many years have we been saying that, right? And so when I said that to Tony that day, I had said it to him so many times. If we do not go out, I'm going to put you in uniform and I'm going to make you go back out there. And I was so excited when we drafted Wyatt, because I thought, okay, at least we're. And he told me we're working on it. We're working on it, So. But no, it's wonderful, this team, I think, that we're putting together. And I'm super excited about the management group. I think that everything that comes out of their mouths, I've really liked so far. So we'll see. Obviously, it's all talk until we get on the field, but it really does feel different.
Have you adopted intangibly rich an ecosystem into the mayor's office conversations?
Well, it's funny because one of the things that I always say to people, and I said it in my inaugural speech, and I say it to my staff all the time, because, people can ride on politics. So, this is the end of the world, or this is the greatest thing. And I go, guys, stay curious. You don't know what's going to happen next. And I use that term all the time, stay curious. Yep. Don't assume anything's good or bad. Just stay curious and let's see how we can make it work for us going forward. And I loved hearing that come out of the general manager's mouth. Just stay curious. Because I think that it's such a great teaching point for young people. And that's they're young. You got some young people that are going to be absolutely transformational on that team. But you have to build that sense of, one play at a time. Nothing's ever the end. Nothing's ever, and I think I think the way he speaks makes me very excited about how he's going to build this team.
It's very big picture.
Very
And
big
I know
picture.
that some of the big words maybe deter some, but ultimately, I've joked with people. I believe that this is how James Gladstone speaks to his friends and family.
Yep.
And so therefore, he's being his authentic self. And is that not what we all want?
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that's how people are most successful. I truly do. Just be authentic. That's all you got to be. Be you. And he says it so often. I know he says it to the team, and I think that's invaluable.
Let's pivot, Mayor Donna Deegan, to the new stadium of the future.
Yes.
Since I know that's what so many of our Heeligans, that's what we affectionately refer to our listeners as. The Heeligans, they want to talk stadium. They want to talk downtown construction, and we greatly appreciate your time and kind of outlining for us what we know, what is still to come. People are excited. Driving through downtown Jacksonville when they see the construction that has already started around
Cranes in the
Everbank
air.
Stadium.
That's what we like.
Cranes in the air. It's not just rendering season. What exactly is...
We've retired that, okay?
Yes,
no more city
season.
of renderings.
We are now the city of cranes. We are the city of
that's right.
cranes here in Jacksonville. What stage are we currently in when it comes to stadium construction?
Well, they've begun the process, okay? So a lot of what is happening right now are not going to be things you're necessarily going to see externally, but the prep has begun, and to the point where they've closed off portions of the stadium where that has to take place. As you know, we're calling it a renovation, but it's truly, I mean, it's like almost a studs up sort of situation. So that's begun, but I think really where people are going to see the greatest impact, obviously, is going to be in the next season, not this coming season, but the season after, and that I think we'll only have, I want to say like 45,000 seats that'll be available during that season, and there'll be all sorts of construction all over the place, and I think it's going to be, fun to try to deal with all that. But we already have a team together between JSO and JTA and city officials, and we're working on a plan to make sure that between public transit and how we can configure those things, that we make it as smooth as possible as we can for people, knowing that with construction there's going to be a bit of a pain, but it is a pain very much worth having.
We're lucky to have the Jaguars. We're lucky to have you as our mayor. We're also lucky to have Shad Khan as the owner of the Jags. Tell people about your relationship and what he means to the city.
I agree with that so much. I have just been so impressed with Mr. Khan and his dedication. He takes so many shots just because he happens to be a wealthy man. Why can't he just pay for everything? Well, that's probably not how he became wealthy. But at the end of the day, he's invested over $1 billion in our city. I mean, he said he was going to bring a Four Seasons here. He did it. He has really, I think, taken the identity of Jacksonville, not only beyond Jacksonville, but to London, which I know some people feel a certain way about. Right. I think it's fantastic. We have all sorts of international fans now. People know more about Jacksonville than they've ever known. And it's really helped us in the business community too. So he has truly embraced this city in a way that he's made some investments out at the beach too. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to be here for the long haul. Obviously, we know for the 30 years of the lease at least, but I'm hoping and praying that people in Jacksonville can really understand that he has been a very, not in the same way as the Weavers necessarily, who are extraordinarily wonderful and generous and amazing people in our philanthropic community and in other ways, but he has really invested in this team and in this city downtown in a way that we really needed, and I'm very appreciative of him. And he also seems completely unaffected by whatever the chattering class says, which I appreciate because I'm sure it can be hard.
Yeah, I wish I had that ability that Shad Khan has of like, there's all this chatter and he just stays on task.
He doesn't read the text line or social media.
It's the only way to survive, my friend. The only way to survive.
Exactly. Mayor Donna Deegan joining us in studio. Speaking of the cranes, speaking of Shad Khan, the development of the shipyards, not just the portion of the shipyards that Shad Khan has purchased. I know there's some other developers who are also expected to come into the area and continue to develop the riverfront along the St. Johns River. I love how I've been able to drive downtown the last 3 weeks or so, Donna, and I've been able to see that there are windows in place in that office building.
Isn't that cool?
For me, that is, and actually, speaking of the text line, we've had a couple listeners who have texted in and said that they have construction crews who are a part of all the efforts downtown, and it is one of those things where it's tangible. You're seeing it. Any updates you maybe have as far as some of the other development in downtown around the stadium
Well,
area.
listen, that is, and I'm glad you're getting texts about this, because one of the things about our agreement with the Jaguars is they're going to be really helping us develop the workforce and putting a lot of local people to work, not only on that stadium, but part of the community benefit agreement is investing in that whole riverfront park system. So all of that is funded because of that $300 million community benefit agreement, which is the largest in NFL history. So what you're seeing there is just the beginning. You go a little further down the river walk, and you get to Mosh, and you have the Naval Museum, and you have all those wonderful playgrounds that are going up, and a lot of green space too, which is what we really want. We want people to feel like it's their riverfront and they want to come down and spend time there. And so we are to the point now in Jacksonville where people know we are moving, and it's a great place to be in. And I think what people are going to see in this city over the next 2 or 3 years is quite the transformation on the downtown riverfront.
I'm envisioning, much like Florida men's basketball got to celebrate the national championship in San Antonio with that riverfront parade.
Yes.
We need the Jaguars, after they win the Super Bowl, to also have a riverfront parade along the St. John's. And that way, then the NFL can stop using the landing pictures and start using those pictures when they show Jacksonville.
I say that we put that out in the universe right now because that sounds like a wonderful idea to me. and I too agree that we should stop using the landing, which is no longer there. Right. But in a few months, we're going to unveil an absolutely astounding park there, which is going to be incredible for people to see.
I was going to ask you, what exactly is the update on that portion? Because I know I drove past it and I was like, landing? What happened to you? Where's my green space?
Phase 1 is already, you're going to see it completed by next fall. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an amazing elevated playground, but all sorts of other amenities there too. There will eventually be a restaurant there. We're in the process now of talking to City Council about a development that may go up in the corner parcel that would have a beer garden and restaurant and other things there too. So that's all a work in process. But the Phase 1 will be available for people to come and visit and play in and enjoy in a matter of months.
Restaurant beer garden. That's music to Lauren Brooks in my ears. Mayor Deegan, are you okay to stay for a couple more minutes if that's all right with you? Let's take a quick break. I want to get to a little bit more as far as Everbank Stadium, the future of downtown Jacksonville. Maybe we'll even talk a little Florida State. Maybe, possibly.
Oh, goodness. I don't know.
Stick around.
Baseball and softball's going great.
Yes. There we go. Spring sports talk.
There
FSU.
you go. Love it.
Coming up next with Mayor Donna Deegan on Helmets and Heels.
You're exactly the kind of hero the world needs. At the end of the day, it comes down to the same question I've been asking my wife every Friday night for the last 20 years. Do you want some of this?
1010XL.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple of years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hi, folks. It's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass needs around the home, there's one name I trust, Lee and Kate's Glass. Those beautiful custom glass shower enclosures, maybe a new mirror, a glass tabletop. They can even replace your foggy or cracked glass without having to replace the whole window. Lee and Kate's is local. They're family-owned. They've been a part of our community since 1926. Boy, they've taken care of me, including our brand new offices at Walk Off Charities. They did a great job. I promise they'll do the same for you. Visit leeandkatesglass.com.
I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local woman-owned solar company. Did you hear? JEA is raising rates again. With summer right around the corner, those power bills are only going to go up. But with solar, you can take control of energy costs and say goodbye to rising rates. At Clay Solar, we make switching easy and affordable. Stop paying more for power and own it. Visit claysolar.com to schedule a consultation today.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
Helmets and heels.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Raise the stakes on excitement at Best Bet, your go-to spot for unbeatable entertainment with locations in Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine. Not a poker pro? No problem. Get in on the casual games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em and one-card poker. Hungry? Fuel up your game. We're serving up delicious bites and craft cocktails, and we're open late. For details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com. Best Bet, your go-to spot for a thrilling night.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes here with a challenge. A challenge might not be the best choice in words, so let's say an opportunity. Take the opportunity to lose 40 by the 4th with a Awaken 180. It sounds a little different when you put a real goal to it, doesn't it? Maybe you looked at the scale this morning and it read 230 pounds. How about it reading 190 by the 4th? Maybe the scale says 300. Wouldn't the number 260 be a little nicer on your eyes and on your joints? It's attainable if you have the same results we all had with Awaken 180. I dropped 40 pounds in 9 weeks. Hacker dropped his first 40 in just 6 weeks. Dempsey, Blue, and everyone else I know, same results. And we've kept it off. The best thing about Awaken 180 weight loss, it will completely change the way you think, see, and feel about food. The results are real, attainable, and the process simple with Awaken 180. Take the opportunity and drop 40 by the 4th. It all starts with just one call to Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zero Res a call. May Mayhem. 3-room special starting at $149, plus the 4th room is free. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, when a customer goes to buy a diamond, how do they know what they are getting?
Frank, that's a good question because what they know comes from the assurances given by the seller, and they can only judge based on the knowledge and reputation of the selling store. Now, over the last 25 years, I've seen some customers misled, and unfortunately, Underwoods was the bearer of bad news too many times. In the 1980s, we saw diamonds brought in with exaggerated grades and no laboratory grading reports. Then in the 90s, we saw some of the poorest cut diamonds ever, even though they had laboratory reports on weight, color, and clarity. Then the American Gem Society opened a laboratory and started grading diamonds for cut, and poorly cut diamonds got priced for what they were. Now we see diamonds from the internet and other places where diamonds are bought sight unseen with a lab report and a bogus appraisal. Unfortunately, not all those diamonds match the reports they're sold with, but how would a customer know? Probably today more than ever, the truest statement is, if you don't know diamonds, you better know a jeweler you can trust.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Lone Pronto. The Panthers vs. Leafs series will resume tonight as it currently sits at a 2-2 stalemate. Both teams are undefeated at their home rink in this matchup. The Panthers have to get an advantage tonight to steal one on the road. 16 different players on the Panthers roster have recorded a point in this series, so head coach Paul Maurice will count on his depth once again, as versatility amongst his lines have got the job done thus far.
You got some pretty good defensive structure, which means for the most part, everybody's playing against their own pay grade. There's not a difference really in style defensively between our top line and our four, and I would say that's true of Toronto as well. So it's not necessarily the shooter that's going to win you the game or the guy that you normally predict to score. It's just be a battle through four lines.
It's 83 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Hour. 1 o'clock hour is indeed here. Making sure my microphone is on. Mayor Donna Deegan, kind enough to join us for one more segment here on Helmets and Heels. Mayor Deegan, I don't know if you've seen, but there's plenty of the leaks are circulating as far as the schedule release, which of course will be released for all 32 NFL clubs. 8 p.m. NFL Network this evening. Any team that you've seen, maybe this is one I've got circled on the calendar for the Big Cats to face, whether that's a home or away game this year that you're looking forward to?
No, I always look forward to the games with the Titans and the Colts in particular because I really don't like either one of those teams at all.
Now you can add the Texans to that.
Yeah, I'll add the Texans on there too. That's true. I think those are always the ones that I look forward to the most. But I can't wait for football season. It's just always such a tragedy for me when football season is over.
And sometimes that happens earlier than other seasons. We see the previous conversation about
hopefully
Florida State
not this year.
the
Yes,
Jaguars.
well, that's true. Yeah.
I'm excited to see, for me in particular, the Denver game, the Jaguars playing the Broncos, and then Vegas. We went to Vegas last year, so those are always fun. My cousin lives in Denver, but she's a diehard Jags fan, so we would go as Jags fans to that. And it just harkens back to the rivalry, not really rivalry, but the history between the Jags and the Broncos.
Yeah. You remember the guy, the Denver columnist that called us the Jaguars?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I said rivalry.
One Woody Page. I said his name.
There is a little rivalry there with, going back to the playoffs in the 90s.
Yeah.
As we continue our conversation regarding downtown Jacksonville, the stadium of the future, your Jacksonville Jaguars, as far as the London games go, seeing just one London game on the schedule, at least according to what the NFL has released as of this writing, the belief is that the Jaguars will only play one game this year. That was something I know, Mayor Deegan, that was really central to you, the Jaguars, as you worked through the proposal for the new stadium lease.
Yeah, we had everybody crunching numbers, and I had two things that were paramount for me, both of which caused me a problem for a while. And one was I absolutely told my team we had to hit this date and be done with this because I didn't want to get into budget season, didn't want to see, we saw what ended up happening during the season, right? I wanted that deal done and I wanted it done on deadline. And as you know, with negotiations, that's not always the easiest thing. So, but we got that done and I was very excited about it. But one of the things I was afraid was going to be a hitch in the giddy up was going to be the London games. And I remember, saying to Shad that, listen, they will run me out of town on a rail if I give away another home game. So please.
Especially with a new stadium, renovated, but it's going to feel like a new stadium.
Right. So that was absolutely, I know it sounds like crazy that could be a sticking point, but for me, it was a really, really big deal to make sure that we didn't have to take a bunch of home games and take them overseas.
Well, especially when you've just gotten the taxpayers to be on board with this plan, even though they didn't have to necessarily vote for it. But you get them on board. You don't want to say, oh, well, you're only going to get, say, 6 home games in a season.
Well, look, I will say this, though, and as you continue to look at a possible, expansion schedule, part of this continues to be affordability, right? So if you end up with a lot more home games, how much more are people going to be paying for their season tickets? It is always going to be a discussion of where's the balance there. So I do think that people perhaps aren't looking at that whole big picture. I don't know what will happen with the expansion games, but I do think we're in a situation now where we're going to have a new stadium. I'm sure prices will go up because of that. We also want to make sure that people that live in Jacksonville can still see their Jaguars. So that's all part of the equation. But we really were excited to see that one game. Yeah.
We're live with Mayor Donna Deegan, not only on 92.5 FM, 1010 AM, but also broadcasting live, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And one of our YouTube commenters, Mayor Deegan, asked about the possibility of hosting an NFL draft. Some of those other big picture ideas. I know, like you said, there's a committee in place that's looking forward to opportunities the new stadium of the future could bring. Next year, we do know that while it won't take place at a stadium or outside of a stadium, the NFL draft will take place on the Washington Monument, in the middle of all of that is Washington, D.C. What do you make of some of the possibilities, even outside of just games, of events that could come to downtown Jacksonville?
I do love the idea of having an NFL draft here. That would be so fun. I mean, where would you put those people? I guess we could put them along the riverfront, or we could put them on this. I guess the slab's not quite big enough for that. I don't know. We would find a place.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to get clipped. I can already tell you that one. They're going to love that. They're going to run with it.
Jacksonville would be great. I think we'll probably get a draft before we get a Super Bowl, just because we got to build a few more hotels before that happens. But sure, I mean the whole hope with this new stadium is that we're going to be able to attract all sorts of wonderful talent to Jacksonville, not only sports, which I would love to see us become part of the playoff system. That's something that we absolutely deserve because this is such an incredible college town too. People love their college sports here. And I think that would be a wonderful thing, and all kinds of concerts and other things that stadium will bring to us, in addition to the fact that it's just, once you build out the whole entertainment district around that, it's just going to be such an attraction for downtown. And of course, that's one of my big priorities. So I can't wait for it to be done.
For sure. When people tell me they don't like Jacksonville, I always come back with, you just haven't been to the right parts of Jacksonville.
I think that's true.
Our downtown may not be there yet, but that's why we're having these conversations about what's going to happen in the future. We don't want to be a city that only has a couple different places that you can go within walking distance of the stadium.
Yeah. Well, look, we're a city of amazing neighborhoods. We have amazing neighborhoods, and within those neighborhoods, there are wonderful things to do. And I think sometimes when people think of downtown, and this is why I always talk to people about the importance of downtown, when they think of downtown, they say, well, so there's not much going on in Jacksonville. That's what they say. But we need that vibrant downtown so that people will change their perceptions of our city, in addition to the fact that it'll bring us a lot of economic development. But I'm so excited to see what's happening. And I think when people do come here from other cities, they do get excited about Jacksonville, sometimes more than the people who currently live here. And that's one of my goals as mayor, is to get people fired up and excited about their own city. We got the greatest city in the world here. I mean, we're on the ocean, we're on the river, we got all these wonderful, amenities. We have great people, and I think that you're starting to see those little flickers, come for people in Jacksonville, I think.
As we get ready to start wrapping up with you, Mayor Donna Deegan here on 1010XL Helmets and Heels, we hear a lot by virtue of what the name of this program is, what this program means in the world of radio. We are the first all-female daily sports talk show in an NFL market. You have, I'm sure, a time or two heard about being the first female in many walks of life, including as the mayor of Jacksonville, Florida. When you hear that, what comes to mind?
Well, it's just great pride. I mean, I think that women belong everywhere. And I think we generally bring a whole lot to a conversation, or to an outlook, or to how we manage or how we lead. We bring a lot to that process that you maybe haven't seen before. And it is interesting to navigate the world of men in sports and government and all those things. But it's an honor and it's a privilege. And I love being the mayor of the city. And I think that having you all here doing this job every day it should encourage more and more women to get into not only this type of a job, but maybe into sports too. I'd love to see more young women. I love the fact that we're seeing more of that in our city.
It's crazy to think, when I was growing up, sports talk radio was just beginning in Jacksonville full time. And there was not a single female in this type of business in Jacksonville until the early 2010s. So we went, 20 years plus with no women in this job and in this industry. And now we have an entire show dedicated to not just female sports, of course, but us in our perspective, like to your point. What's the most challenging thing about this job for you?
Oh dear.
How much time we got?
I think the politics, honestly. I came into this because I love the city so much, and I feel like I have an ability to communicate, to bring people together, to lead. I think that's been something that I've been able in my life to make good things happen, and I am so grateful for that. And it is frustrating for me when politics get in the way of that. But we've been able to accomplish a whole lot. And I'm very, very grateful to the council and to all the people that work with me to make our city move forward. So I would say politics, if we could get rid of that, it'd be a perfect job. Beyond that, I love it.
I'm on board. And by the way, also, thank you for all that you've done with the Donna Foundation and the different races. I know you just had a new one pop up this past weekend, right, in Riverside?
Well, that's our Mother's Day 5K. We do that during Mother's Day, and then October we'll have our players 5K over at the PGA at the Players Championship, and then of course the big race will be in February when we run our marathon and half marathon for women with breast cancer. So it's been a joy to do all those things. I have been so fortunate in my life. I mean, honestly, I don't know what more I could possibly want to do. But this is a fantastic job, and I think Jacksonville is moving in a great direction.
Absolutely. My mom and I do the 5K at the Players Championship every year, and so it's so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
I appreciate
Well, whenever
that.
your office ends, whenever your mayoral time ends, you can just come join our show full time.
Exactly. We have a fourth chair for a reason.
Sounds like a plan.
We're ready for you. So like you said, Mayor Deegan, you're counting down till football season. What other sports are you occupying with your time? The little free time that you do have. Are you watching basketball?
Yeah, I've been a little dialed into the basketball. I'm not going to say it's at the top of my list, but I watch the playoffs. Yeah. I'm always watching FSU baseball. That's a close second to FSU football for me. I really do love it, and softball. Our FSU women's softball team is incredible. I love the fact that we have the Upshot League that's coming here, the new basketball team, the new soccer team. I mean, women's sports are coming to Jacksonville in a way that we've had them for a while. I don't want anybody to say, I know we have a women's basketball team. I know that we have had other, but I think that the amount of the level and the attention that is coming to women's sports at a time when women's sports are really starting to get into the fore, especially women's basketball, is becoming so popular. I want to see us continue to bring those events to Jacksonville that highlight those things. And I think anytime you can bring a major sporting event to the city, that's a win.
And of course, I know longtime friend of yours, Donna Orender, the former WNBA commissioner.
Yep, she's amazing. She's behind the Upshot League, and she's adorable. She literally, I've never seen a more excited human in my life than Donna Orender, and that's what makes the magic work with her, I think.
We're hoping to get Donna Orender on soon so we can nerd out further about women's basketball.
You 100%
So hopefully you are now the sales pitch to get our friend Donna Orender, who's also a Heeligan.
I will call her when I leave this show.
I love it. Mayor Deegan, we can't thank you enough for your time, for your conversation, for your passion for sports, and what you've been able to do for the city of Jacksonville, not just as mayor, but even before that, too.
Thank you so much. Really great to spend time with you guys. Best part of my day.
Come back now, you hear?
I will.
Fourth chair, ready for Mayor Deegan. This is Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
You know Dan Hicken.
Is he insane or am I crazy?
Which question would you like me to answer first?
And you know Jeff Prosser.
Anger is a negative emotion.
They are the Drill.
That's why you need to lead this business to pros.
Yeah, like us.
Mornings on 1010XL.
You got it.
It's May, and that means it's Founders Month here at Sonny's Barbecue. Every Wednesday, we're celebrating with $7 pork big deal served with a sidekick and a drink, or one of our pork and rib combos for just $11. It's our way of saying thanks for letting us be your local pitmasters. So stop in for great deals on the Q you crave. Founders Month specials at Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
E.T. here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, you have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits. You have the right to choose your own doctor, too. And I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation, the auto accident experts.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
It's a Helmets and Heels Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Lauren Brooks here. It's the Cruise in the Summer event at Hodges Mazda at the Avenues. For a limited time, get up to $5,000 off a new 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred and receive a free 5-day cruise for 2 with your purchase. With off-road capability and the special offer, your summer adventure starts now. Hurry, 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred models are in limited supply at Hodges Mazda. Offer valid on new 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred only. MSRP $32,564. Must trade in a vehicle and finance through dealer to qualify for your discount. Cruise and vehicle availability limited. Travel taxes and fees additional. See dealer for details.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
Mia here for Closets by Design. It's been a few months since they built my custom closet. You know how much I love it. My family is obsessed. Everyone at 1010XL World Headquarters is constantly asking to see the videos. With summer here, why not finally create that custom garage workspace you want? That's right, boys. Think tool storage, benches, flooring, a place for everything to go. Closets by Design creates custom solutions for every space, lifestyle, and budget. Call to schedule your free in-home consultation and receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off. Visit closetsbydesign.com.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Franchi Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
For 120 years, Ford has been committed to doing the right thing for America. And we're not going anywhere. That's why Ford assembles more vehicles in the U.S. than any other automaker and employs the most hourly auto workers in the country. That's not a boast, it's a pledge to the Americans who drive our vehicles and the capable people who build them, because our values can't be offshored. We do it for the people who make America. Workers, farmers, first responders, communities. As long as America depends on them, they can depend on us. Ford Motor Company. From America, for America.
Based on S&P Global Mobility Calendar Year 2024 U.S. light vehicle production data. Assembled in the USA with domestic and foreign parts. Based on 2024 year-end hourly employment data.
Are you struggling with hair loss? At IHRS, we understand because we've been there too. We're dedicated to finding the best solution tailored just for you.
My hair looks great. It was thinning and IHRS restored my hair.
It's now fuller, it's thicker, voluminous. It's made me feel great.
With the latest technology and FDA-approved laser therapy, PRP, and non-surgical hair addition, we offer guaranteed solutions for men and women.
With over 35 years of experience, IHRS found a hair restoration for us, and we can find one for you.
For me.
For me.
And me too.
Visit hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. Get a free microscopic analysis and get to the root of your problem. This $395 analysis is yours for free. Call 904-777-4477 now.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coatings, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
10XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
So I teased to begin the show, Lauren, that we had another special guest besides Mayor Donna Deegan, who we are oh so gracious for joining us for the previous two segments. That'll be available on demand on the 1010XL YouTube channel here momentarily. But that we had another guest talking Preakness with us in the 1 o'clock hour, and there was a story to be had here, Lauren Brooks. Would you like to introduce our next guest first?
Sure. So RJ went to high school with Andy B. and Cone, who's going to join us now. She's a reporter and analyst for FanDuel TV, and we are going to talk horse racing. But first, Andy, tell us your memories of RJ Saunders. I'm just kidding. We know that high school is a long time ago.
Dude,
yeah,
so cool. RJ was the funniest guy on our speech and debate team. We were all nerdy bunch of speechies. I was just like the horse girl, the token horse girl in speech, but speech kids, horse kids, they all go hand in hand.
As a nerdy speech, might I add, state champion once upon a time myself, Andy, what event were you on the debate side? What humorous interpretation, prose, poetry? What are we talking here?
I was a DI all the way, dramatic interp, no debate in me whatsoever. I think I did a debate comp just for credit because I slacked so hard my sophomore year. I was like, I need to go to a comp. And I failed miserably. It was so bad.
Hey, listen, I tell anyone who is in high school, and if there's any high schoolers listening out there in Healigan Nation right now, I always say do speech because you never know where it will lead you. It has led you to a reporter analyst role with FanDuel TV. You got 13,500 followers on X. Not that is a determination of success, but as RJ noted too, off to the side, you were horse racing in addition to being a high school student, in addition to being a speech and debater. And here you are now applying it each and every day in a multimedia setting. That is absolutely awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's crazy how everything falls into place. I never imagined myself pursuing broadcasting in any dimension. Didn't pursue it in college. But my dad is a racehorse trainer. I've always had a passion for racehorses. I learned how to gallop 8 years ago and was working on the backside, and FanDuel just plucked me off the track one day, and they were like, hey, you have okay camera presence. You should give this a go. And I was like, I'm only good at talking about my own horses, guys. But as you said, applying the speech skills, and here we are.
Absolutely. So obviously, because you do have a good familiarity with all of these horses and everything, were you surprised to learn that Sovereignty wasn't going to run the Preakness, of course, the winner of the Derby?
I honestly, being a horse person, I completely respect Bill Mott's decision. Every single horse is an individual and should be treated as such. No question, Sovereignty is one of the best of the crop. I feel like the Kentucky Derby was the most formful Derby we've had in a while in terms of just the three best horses in this 3-year-old crop going 1, 2, 3. Journalism, Sovereignty, Baeza. They were the three physical standouts. But like I said, every horse is an individual, and they don't owe anybody anything. I know the Triple Crown is a massive part of our sport, but it's not our whole sport. And at the end of the day, doing what's best for the horse is the number one priority of every single trainer and all the connections there. So the fact that they want to give him a little extra time is a great thing. I mean, journalism, for example, I actually gallop horses at Churchill Downs in the morning. So I've been seeing journalism in the mornings, and he has just been screaming, let me run, I'm ready. Michael McCarthy's the protective parent. I haven't made, prior to when he made the announcement that they were going to run, he was very conservative. He was I'm going to let the horse tell me, and the horse is bucking over his head every single day on the track. The Derby didn't take anything out of him. So that is a prime candidate of a horse giving the sign to run the Preakness. But, Sovereignty maybe just needs a little more recoup, and totally respectable that the connections want to give him that.
So, Andy,
put money on journalism, in other words, for the Preakness?
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
There we go.
It was crazy. I did morning stand-ups with a lot of the with the horses after the Derby, like Derby morning, all of them were like knocked out, sleeping in, and journalism was like at the front of his cell, like, what up? Like, he didn't even run. So, you know,
amazing.
like I said, everybody's different. Everybody's an individual. And I do think journalism is the main contender in terms of the Preakness.
Andy, as far as Sovereignty not running in the Preakness, the Kentucky Derby winner, so you believe that that's a one-off, that's just the owner and the trainer listening to the horse and not a trend that we could see? I mean, we joked, and ironically, given that RJ hosts our NBA show here on 1010XL, we joked that this is load management in horse racing coming to the forefront. You believe that this is just a one-off of a trainer saying, hey, it's in the best interest for the horse to forego the Preakness in favor of the Belmont Stakes in two plus weeks' time?
Yeah, totally. I think the thing about training horses is it's so touch and go. You know, they obviously can't speak to you. They can't go, they're still athletes, but they can't go, oh, hey, like, I'm a little tired today, or my knee hurts a little bit. It's just nagging me. Like, you as a horseman, as a trainer, have to know your horses and be able to read them. So I think there's this massive public misconception that, you know, it's cookie cutter, they're all the same, when in reality, there is no horse that is like another, and you are constantly learning when you're working around them because every horse is such an individual.
Andy, most people think attending the Kentucky Derby would certainly be a bucket list item. Are there other races that you would suggest and recommend as well to attend?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. I mean, Derby is like the Mecca, right? But, I mean, year-round, just horse racing never stops. You've got all the prep races for the Kentucky Derby because horses have to acquire points to get into the Kentucky Derby. But, you know, life doesn't stop after the 3-year-old season. A lot of Derby horses continue running, and they find different niches where they cut back in distance and become sprinters, or they move onto the grass. But tons of good races. I mean, the Breeders' Cup in the fall is just the pinnacle of our sport in terms of the best of every division. You know, the Derby is exclusively 3-year-old colts. You can only run one time. That's your shot. That's your ticket. But obviously, racehorses are, you know, come in all different ages and genders and all different kinds of events, quote unquote, if you're going to compare it to track and field, just with like the distances, the surfaces. So Breeders' Cup, I would say, is like the pinnacle of everything. That's like your smorgasbord. You got your turf sprinters, you got your international horses, you got your marathon runners, you got your long distance dirt runners, you got your female sprinters. You know, it's just very, it's really cool.
Andy Bianconi of FanDuel TV, horse racing analyst, joining us here on Helmets and Heels on the Checkmate Coatings hotline. Andy, I'm very curious as we kind of set the scene for the Preakness Stakes coming up this weekend at Pimlico, a 7:01 p.m. post time Eastern Standard. I'm very curious knowing that you have roots in California. You've spent some time here in the Sunshine State, spent some time in the Bluegrass State up in Kentucky as well. When it comes to picking a winner, whether in the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont, do you pay much attention to where the horse is coming from geographically? Is it based upon the owner? Is there any way that you can maybe find some sort of scoop based upon the history and, if nothing else, the Wikipedia bio of each horse?
Well, it's hard to say because every year it's so different. Like, I think this year, Sovereignty was the winner of he was third in the Florida Derby, but he won one of the prep races for the Florida Derby. So the Florida form kind of stands out. But then you have Journalism, who won the Santa Anita Derby. And the argument was it was a very small field. And, you know, there's just kind of less horses out in California, although the times in California tend to be faster. So a lot of people were kind of jaded against Journalism going into a 20-horse field in the Derby, and lo and behold, he was able to overcome. But I think the biggest thing is a good horse is willing to overcome anything, and that's just the bottom line. Very fortunately for me, I get to travel to several of these Derby preps throughout the winter. So I did a rotation of 2 weeks Gulfstream, 1 week Fairgrounds, 1 week Oaklawn. So I got to get an eye on all these horses, and it has helped me immensely in terms of being able to see them change and develop towards the Derby. I think Another interesting horse in the Preakness is Clever Again. I know we didn't see that horse on the Derby Trail, but he was very impressive at Oaklawn Park. And I've seen him galloping at Churchill, and he has grown immensely since the last time I've seen him at Oaklawn. So, keep in mind, these are 3-year-old horses. They're kind of like, it's like the equivalent to college students or high school students. Like, you're going to see constant change and growth and development, and you want them to peak at the right time. So, like I said, I do think that Journalism is a horse to beat, but if you're a gambler and you're maybe looking to key in a horse underneath with some better value, it would definitely be Clever Again.
Andy, none of our listeners are gamblers. Not Dara one.
Okay.
Oh, no, we're kidding. Come on now.
That's sarcasm.
Yeah, there we go. Don't worry. They're very interested in seeing exactly those odds. I'm seeing 5-1 on Clever Again, by the way, for those of you keeping score at home. 8-5 odds on Journalism. There's some overlap in a couple other horses. American Promise, perhaps. Sandman did run, yes, in the... I was forgetting if it was Sandman or Enter Sandman, who ran in the Kentucky Derby. What do you make of some of those horses that will be running again just 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby?
Sandman is another one who came out of it really well, and he has just been such a fun horse to watch. I actually remember him running last November at Churchill Downs, so I've been able to see him that much. And you talk about a horse who has really understood what he's like. He loves his job. Like, you should have seen this horse Derby week. He's such a ham. Like, the cameras, he was loving every second of it. He was like, me. I'm the only horse to ever exist. Like, hello, here I am. And it was funny because as a 2-year-old, he wasn't the quickest learner. I remember after he ran in the Iroquois at Churchill Downs, I think he finished 4th. Now, this is back last November, so he was a 2-year-old. The connections of Sandman were talking to trainer Mark Cassey, like, hey, do you think we should give him a break and, bring him back fresh as a 3-year-old? And Mark was like, absolutely not. This horse needs to keep learning. He needs to keep running so that he starts to understand what's going on. And Mark Cassey was right, because now this horse is so cupped on. He understands what he's doing. And he was another one who came out of the Derby really well. He was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Griffin Johnson, one of his part of the ownership group, was standing outside his stall for literally hours, just like feeding this horse carrots and candies. And they are just best buds. So that's been a really fun. It's really fun when you see somebody who has no interest in horses or horse racing and who's an influencer kind of see how special the sport is. Because, horse racing is magical. Like, it's the closest thing I can describe it as. Like, the horse and human connection, the individual personalities of the horses. It's just so much, and it's so special.
Well, Andy, I don't know that I've ever talked to someone who's brought it to light that much. And so I thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. And we will absolutely be begging you to have you back on before another big horse race.
Oh, my gosh. Lauren, Mia, thank you so much. And anytime. I love chatting with you guys.
Hey, and we got to give some love to RJ, too, for making this happen. Andy, so great to catch up with you, especially nerding out as a fellow speech alum.
Heck yeah. Oh, awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you, RJ.
Thank you, Andy. You can find her on X, as I alluded to, at Andy. That's ANDIE _Biancone, BIANCONE. Of course, a horse racing analyst for FanDuel TV.
I love when we chat with people who are just such experts in their field, and certainly Andy Biancone is one of those. And yes, thanks again, RJ. We've got one segment to go. We will cool down, and I'll give you today's Terminix Pest of the Day. Lots to do on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Your home for Florida Gators baseball is 1010XL.
After taking 2 out of 3 from top-ranked Texas, the Gators try to roll the Crimson Tide. Florida, Alabama, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday afternoon on 1010 AM.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
It's back. What's back? Mia here. I'm glad you asked. The Summer Starts Here sales event. That's what. It's back, and it's packed with hot summer savings going on now at Arlington Toyota. Why buy from Arlington? Because Arlington is the place to go for big selection during the Summer Starts Here sales event. Like over 800 vehicles in one location. I told you it was big. Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Tacomas, Tundras, even the all-electric B74X. Shop it all at Arlington and save today. No one does buying confidence like Arlington with their 60-day exchange. That means you buy it, take it home, basically test drive it for 60 days, and then if you decide it's not right for you, bring it back and exchange it. You even get Arlington's lifetime warranty with your new Toyota purchase. Why buy from Arlington? Because during Summer Starts Here, you can get financing as low as 0% on select new Toyota models. 0%. Shop Summer Starts Here at Arlington Toyota. In person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or at arlingtontoyota.com.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Hey, Hicken here. So much of what makes us a family takes place in our homes. That's where Zero Res comes in. I love Zero Res, and this month get Zero Res applied from Jacksonville's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner with May Mayhem. A 3-room special starting at $149, plus the 4th room is free. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res 28757 or go online at zeroresjacksonville.com and say you want the Hicken special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Helmets and heels.
With the first pick in the 2025 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Duck Duck Rooter, the #1 plumbing, septic, and air conditioning contractor in Florida.
Congratulations, Duck Duck Rooter. So tell us, how does it feel to be picked #1?
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing, septic, or AC issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to tackle your problems today. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning, then deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
One man, one hammer. One place to hear it drop. Hammer Time with Hayes, weekdays on The Frangie Show.
Driven by Southside Kia. Online at SouthsideKiaJacks.com on 1010XL.
The NBA playoffs are here, and there's no better place to catch the action than Hurricane Grill and Wings. With slam dunk specials like $3.75 Miller Lite drafts, plus fresh, never frozen wings in over 30 flavors, and big screens everywhere. This is your home for all the games. Handcrafted cocktails, bold flavors, big plays. Don't just watch the games, experience them at Hurricane Grill and Wings. Find your spot at hurricanewings.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
If golf is your thing, you'll want to check out the 2025 Hills Pass at Hidden Hills Golf Club. Unlimited golf, including golf car, and preferred tee times for just one low price. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com to purchase your Hills Pass today.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather starting to turn for the better, look ahead. Get that backyard ready for spring with a new screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are best in the business. If you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Keep
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Our thanks again to our 2 wonderful guests, 2 wonderful ladies, Mayor Donna Deegan, Andy Bianconi of FanDuel TV, for joining us here on Helmets and Heels on this fine Wednesday. Man, Taylor Dahl's going to be so mad when she comes back from vacation. You bring in all the great women, the great guests, of course, while Taylor is off enjoying a well-deserved break. We'll continue that tomorrow when our friend Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic stops by to discuss Rams East. If anyone else is on the move, from Les Snead's Los Angeles Rams to James Gladstone's Jacksonville Jaguars. With all that said...
Also, Jaguars, Rams in London.
Yes, exactly. Very excited to discuss that and more. Great segue there, Lauren, because the schedule leaks continue. We will have our annual schedule way too early reaction prediction videos coming on the 1010XL video and social channels tomorrow. This is an interesting one that's been reported by the folks up in the Big Apple. The Jets will open the season at home against the Steelers in a game that could feature Justin Fields facing his former team and Aaron Rodgers doing the same. Content.
If Aaron Rodgers actually plays football this year.
Aaron Rodgers was apparently spotted in Pittsburgh again today at some pizzeria, and that's after the word got out that he joined some country club in the greater Pittsburgh area last week. So I hope he doesn't play football. I hope he just wants to move to Western Pennsylvania just for the bit. Yeah, it's
pizza in Pittsburgh. I mean, pizza in Chicago makes sense. Pizza
in Connecticut makes sense.
Sure, but in Pittsburgh, you got to go to the Permane brothers
or Detroit, or it's Aaron Rodgers. I can't say. I'm surprised. I do want to cool down a little bit with some NBA from last night, Lauren. I didn't get a chance. I didn't stay up for the Nuggets Thunder finish. Maybe RJ can key us in on that one. But RJ, Pacers Cavs, was it not the definition? And I found myself in the final 2 minutes. I was already rooting for the Pacers to end it. Our friend Angela Morgan of Wish TV in Indianapolis thought maybe Cleveland would force a Game 6 that would then see the Pacers prevail at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. But when Donovan Mitchell missed those free throws, when a slew of Cavaliers continued to miss their free throws, I looked around and I said, I need the Pacers to win for the sacredity of the sport of basketball. Free throws matter. Do they not, RJ Saunders?
Free throws always matter. And I think that's something that you always think about, especially when you lose a close game. How critical free throws can be at the end of a game. I also think there was a bit of fatigue there. I mean, from guys like Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and others. I mean, when you see a guy such as Donovan Mitchell, knock down that corner three, I think there was probably 2-3 minutes left, and he's crossing half court, and he's got his hands on his knees before playing defense. It's like, yeah, this guy's gassed, on top of the fact that, he was dealing with an ankle injury. So, free throws at the end of the day matter. They are costly. When you think of things that lose you a game or lose you a series, one of the first things that's going to come to your mind is, man, I left 2 points on the line, or I left 3 points on the line. So that's the
certainly
first
mattered
thing.
to Florida in the national championship.
The national championship too.
Leading up to the national championship.
To put a bow on that, / to give the folks who may have missed that game the play-by-play, RJ, Donovan Mitchell hits a 27-foot three-point shot with 2:23 to go in this game, make it a 2-possession game, 106-100. He then gets to the line because he gets fouled by Aaron Nesmith. I'll never know which one it is. Former Boston Celtic once upon a time. He missed 3 free throws that would have made it 106-103 with 1:49 to go. And that was the moment, Lauren, where I just said, I feel bad if he's fatigued, but I don't care. If you miss 3 consecutive free throws with the game is on the line, can I call you a top 10, top 20 player in the NBA too? Oh boy, there she goes.
Well, here's somebody who's not gassed. Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens reached an agreement on a 2-year, $30 million extension that includes $25 million fully guaranteed. And it is the largest deal in NFL history for a running back over 30 years old. that will be one of the biggest, what might have been for me in the NFL is what if the Jaguars had drafted Derrick Henry from, of course, right up the road in Yulee. Knowing how impactful he's been, knowing that he's going to continue to be impactful, it's insane to think that he could have been a Jaguar. They should have drafted him in the first round. What was that? What year would that have been?
2016.
16, okay. And knowing how successful he was in high school, following his career, there at Yulee, like the Yulee Bulldozer belonged in Jacksonville in a Jaguars jersey, and it'll never happen now because he, of course, played for the Titans, the hated rival, and then I think he'll finish his career with the Ravens.
But ultimately, it wasn't just the Jaguars, Lauren. It was 31 teams that passed on him, and many of them passed on him twice. He didn't get drafted until late in the second round.
Right. It's insane.
It's
one
the
of the
entire
biggest,
league, right?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest misses as we've seen. I mean, of course, the biggest is Tom Brady being drafted in the 6th round and being the best quarterback of all time, or potentially the best quarterback of all time. We shall see when all is said and done for Patrick Mahomes. All right, time now for the Terminix Pest of the Day. Terminix is an integral part of keeping Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, and all of your favorite event venues around town. They keep the pests and termites away from you, and now they've spread at our house to treat mosquitoes. You can have them do that at your house as well. Visit them online at Terminix.com, Terminix.com. So the pest of the day, Achilles tendon tears. It once got the best of our friend Nick Morrow, the athletic director at UNF. It's gotten the best of our friend Emmanuel Thallerand, otherwise known as ET. And now Celtics Jason Tatum and Ravens safety Adarius Washington. Tatum will be out for, they don't know, there's no timeline on that. And Darius Washington will definitely be out the entire 2025 NFL season, as he was placed, the Ravens placed him on the PUP list yesterday. So it's just, those are such a massive injury, and it kind of reminds me of the Tommy John, the UCL tears in baseball, because those take so long and you can't tell exactly when a pitcher's going to be back. The Achilles tears are very similar to that. It takes surgery right away, and then the rehab is a long time.
Yeah, and look,
so unfortunate.
With how much we have progressed medically when it comes to ACL tears in the last 10 to 15 years. I mean, you'll echo this, Lauren. I go back to, it wasn't Shannon Box, who was the midfielder for the U.S. women's national team, who came back for the 2003 World Cup. I think it was Shannon somebody. And she tears her ACL, comes back in 6 months, and that was unheard of in 2003, this idea of someone tearing their ACL and coming back that quickly. And to this day, 6 months is probably still too short of amount of time. But
it can be done.
Ultimately, we see more in McMillan. McMillan was the last name, I think. Ultimately, we've seen more and more athletes who they don't get back to full strength until the second year after the ACL injury,
right,
but they are back on the field at the very least to jumpstart that process. I hope the same can be said at some point in time for Achilles as medical research and certainly how the operation takes place. Take Aaron Rodgers out of it. I would like to
Kirk
think
Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, they've gone through the same
I would
thing.
like to think with medical advancements that we'll get to a point where we can see that enhanced care for Achilles tears the way we have for ACL tears over the last decade plus. Because it's awful. Jason Tatum did just post that, it was successful surgery, and it's gut wrenching, even though I know RJ, it's tough because it's Jason Tatum and he plays for the Boston Celtics, but he is one of the faces of the NBA, and now you most likely are without him for the next year, much like on the ACL front, Juju Watkins will probably not play women's college basketball next year after tearing her ACL in the NCAA tournament too.
Yeah, by the way, Gators Golf is participating in the NCAA Bremerton Regional. That's in Washington. And the third round is ongoing right now. It is underway. And Florida right now is 27 under. The next closest team is 9 shots back, and that is Arizona State at 18 under. So Florida men's golf certainly is... They were already off to a really good start after rounds 1 and 2, but it looks like they should win. That regional will keep you posted as we say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Matt, you had a lot of work over the last 2 days as far as interviewing some coaches and people around college football.
Had a lot of fun. You know what I always love about your program, by the way?
Yes.
I always get my Olympic sports, University of Florida updates from you.
You will always
Gymnastics,
get that
lacrosse,
from me. Yep.
Golf, cross country.
Pay attention to them all.
We once upon a time.
Lacrosse is tomorrow afternoon at 2:30.
Big 12
Women's
champions,
lacrosse.
by the way.
Yes, correct.
Big 12 champions.
So the second round is tomorrow, or even I think it's Sweet 16 is tomorrow in Gainesville for lacrosse, and then softball on Friday.
We once upon a time did christen the University of Florida the Spring Sports Champions on XL Primetime. So
They are the spring sports champions.
We're just
no doubt about that.
We're just
that football
hanging the
team is
banner, waving the flag. Winter sports champions too.
Yes, we had a blast in Emilion yesterday. A lot of fun. Some really good interviews with Dab. I'm sure you heard Dab talk about Trevor, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah,
of course.
The way he explained the idea of, what he's been going through. And, when I said, he's got to be frustrated, you could tell by Dab's answer, he's frustrated. I'm sure he's frustrated. So that was interesting. We had a good conversation, obviously, with Mario, with Bill O'Brien. I thought Fran Brown was phenomenal.
I did too.
That dude will be a coach in the SEC very, very soon. Like maybe even as soon as next year at Kentucky.
Unfortunately, you guys had Mario on, and then Jackson Cantwell, the number 1 recruit in the country.
He was checking his phone while he was sitting right next to me, kept checking his phone while we're talking to him because he was like obsessed with it. And then it happens, and literally 5 minutes later, it happens after he goes off the air, and he's screaming down the hallway, and we knew what it was. It was clearly that.
Which, if you're an offensive lineman, why wouldn't you want to go play for Mario Cristobal?
Yeah. You're talking about the number 1 player in the country too.
Right,
So it's
picked Miami over the likes of Ohio State and Georgia.
Yeah.
Those are some good schools recruiting you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's coming up?
We got Coach Ed Orgeron.
Go Tigers.
Let's
No
go. He's back.
Yes, we do. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into some Jaguars schedule and some more college football as well.
I once asked Ed Orgeron at SEC Media Days his favorite food, because, of course, from Louisiana, I love Cajun food as well.
You say crawfish?
No, that's mine. But no, his was gumbo.
Well, it's kind of because crawfish is in gumbo, so yeah.
You think?
Oh, yeah. Crawfish gumbo.
Crawfish etouffee, I feel like.
Yeah, but
Gumbo's more like sausage. And, But he told me, I would love crawfish and everything.
You need to go south of I-10 in Louisiana. If you go north of I-10 in Louisiana, like in the Garden District and stuff, you get the foo-foo stuff.
Yeah.
You go south of I-10, that's hardcore Cajun right there.
Okay. Well, he said his favorite gumbo was the one his mom makes because she puts okra in it.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, which my dad just recently told me a story about picking okra growing up, and he said it was miserable.
Yeah, because it's like gross.
Yeah, and it
It's
hurts.
like somebody spit
hurts
on
your
it.
hands. Yeah.
That
all right,
too.
so we'll talk all things food with Ed Orgeron
Yes,
as
we
well,
will.
right?
All
All right,
right.
thanks, Matt. We'll be listening. All right, for the vacationing Taylor Dahl, for Mia O'Brien, for RJ Saunders, that'll do it for us today. And we do appreciate Mayor Donna Deegan for coming in studio with us today and all the insight that she gave us. I had to let Nancy Sinatra sing just a little bit of these boots are made for walking. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next.